Hi folks, right, a mountainous, a mountainous type of scene, a water scene, straight in with it. This is Fabriano 130 pounds. I've gone back to this for a while. I'm just using up the odd sheets, but I've ordered another 100 sheets because it's still a good paper. It still lifts out better than the other papers, the more expensive porous ones. And I think the reason is that because it's mostly cellulose, or 2/3 cellulose and a third linen, and the way it's sized, the paint tends to stay on the surface before soaking in. And while it's wet, you can scrape it off because the paint's on the surface. Once it goes in, of course you can't. Same as the other papers, but it's a good practice paper. I would recommend it for cheapness. And it also makes a good surface for acrylic and oil, especially if you prime with PVA glue first. Dilute PVA glue, I hasten to add, but not too dilute. So I'll have a swig of tea. I did one of these yesterday for Patreon, so I thought I'll do one for you. I'll wet the paper all over. This is sort of beginner's wetting wet. So we just not so that it's sloshing down the paper. Don't want it that wet, but you can always dry with a hairdryer, which I do. I'll give you plenty of warning when I'm going to do that. Okay, now while that's wet, I'll put in a bit of raw sienna. I'm going to try to keep the light central. Add a little bit of alizarin in there. And water down the bottom, obviously. Okay, now while that's still wet, I'll put in some light red and some ultramarine, nice and dark. Where we're going into with the water here, we can just go across there. Now just go a little bit darker at the top. Just that'll enhance the light a bit. If this was the porous paper, the £90 Winsor & Newton Saunders, you'll find that the streaks will disappear. It will just soak in, but this is still on the surface. So it's critical at this stage, because if you do too much on it now, it will go cauliflowery, like it's starting to go there. So I'm going to dry this now, just to take the damp off of it. So ready, mute your sound. We'll take your headphones off. Go. There you go. You can dry this to real dryness. It's still probably a bit damp inside the paper, but it has to be perfectly dry, and then you can re-wet the paper and go in again. But not if it's damp. Once it's damp, leave it alone, or dry it and take the damp out of it, because you will have problems. Right, okay, that could have been a bit darker at the top, but the ultramarine in the Copland range is a little bit weak to the red. The red is very saturated, very good. So let's put in a bit of distant mountain, sky colour, bit of alizarin. Let's See, all these end up different. I know the variations on a theme. Right, let's just get that horizon, horizontal. I'll put a little bit of yellow or a bit of sienna in there, raw sienna that is. Right, I'll dry that because I can crack on with the hills on the right hand side. Got to do something with that. Oh, that's okay. I'll go over that, I think. Now we'll go in a bit warmer. Now we're going with the darker, warmer, richer colour. Bit of yellow. And a bit of water with that. To there, a bit of burnt sienna, a bit of ultramarine. You need, if you're working wet in wet, you need to make sure that your paint that you're putting on top sticks, so you make it thick, nice and almost tube consistency. And my paints are, because I keep them nice and moist in my stay wet palette overnight or for several days maybe. So we've got as many little peninsulas going into the water as you want. So let's just put in some I'll put in a little bit of that sienna, burnt sienna that is, just to right, okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can put in some stronger trees, green, bit of Payne's grey, bit of burnt sienna, bit of cadmium yellow, and just all very light touches with the Hague. Right, let's get some dark in that foreground here. See what happens? It actually stays where you put it, it doesn't soak in. But you've got to have it nice and moist and thick. So that's almost tube consistency. Okay, so we can right. I'm going to go over the other side now while that dries off. Oh, well, I can do a bit of scraping, but not a lot. Well, we're just trying to repeat the reflection, so we can just put a little bit of a tree, just a little bits of detail. Look, just adds just that little bit of a gentle scrape, very gentle here. Just remove enough paint to give another bit of texture. That won't scrape now, well, it will there, yeah. Just a little bit of detail going on there. Right. Right, we'll go on into the other side now. Clean the brush. Have a swig of tea. And we'll bring something down here similar to what I did yesterday. But when I start these things, I don't know where the brush is going to go. Usually covering up things I don't like, and they all most of them turn out okay in the end. Right, let's get some nice, a bit of bright in contrast there. Let's have a bit of yellow, bit of burnt sienna. Bit of green. Now, for you to put in rocks, you've got to have some darks, so that when you scrape back to the white, you get that lovely contrast. I'll put some trees in here. Right. Well, that's drying off. I'll just do a little bit of scraping. Oh, I'll do that there. Every little helps. My mate Joe Menza will have a fit when he sees me doing this. I encouraged him not to, but he was on Patreon. Joe Menza, M-E-N-Z-A, he's got his own YouTube channel now doing watercolours. And he's producing some really nice stuff now. So I'm quite happy to give him a little thumbs up. A bit of green in there. A bit of Payne's grey. Always a good shortcut. Hello. I need a trim. I like putting a lot of foliage in there. You can do so much with the hake, but that didn't work there. So I'm going to have to radically change that. See what happens, see I made a mistake with the hake there, I was a bit clumsy. So, just add in a bush now, I've turned it into a bush. Like there's a bit of wriggle work and a bit of nail work. Okay, let's go back higher up with that. I quite like that now. Bit of Payne's grey. Going to put a bit covering that there. I think a bit of a slightly bluer. It's all very light touching. And I'll put in some rocks in there. Find the card. Right, I can put a bit of dry brush over that. Not a lot that I really want to do now on that, except dry it off and put a bit of reflection in across the water. So headphones off, go. Clean the brush. I'll use a small hake for this, the Ron Ranson medium hake. I want a bit of that background colour. Just dry brush across here. Okay, this. Just mixing a bit of sky colour. And we just dry brush over there. I've gone a bit too much there. Right, okay, that will do. I probably can put a little bit over here. Oh, right, I'm not going to ruin it. I'll sign it. Put it in a mount. Put a couple of birds in. Oh, that's very good. Put another one in there. Now I've lost my brush. Oh, all right. Okay, the birds tend to link the sky with the land, and we put one down here. Right, okay, I think that's about all I want to do on that one. Let's just move the camera up. Whoops. Right, get a mount on there. Right, just clip those. Oh, that's quite reasonable for a demo. Let's just move that. Okay, this has got a little bit too streaky. That's as much to do with the hake as to do with the paper, because the hake can, when it gets a little bit dry, it starts to split. But if you get a good hake, treasure it. But I can't stress enough that it's a light touch, very light touch. Of course, you've got to control the water in the hake. Too much water and it'd just be insipid. So you have to have a bit of body with. So there's a bit of an argument going that should you squeeze out bits of paint, use them, and then clean the palette off. That's okay if you're wealthy and you can afford to replace or have a contract with Winsor & Newton, and they supply all the materials. You can waste what you like, but when you have to pay for it, and these are quite inexpensive, the Cotman range, that's why we use them. They're adequate, and I squeeze them out around. These are all soft, and I keep them in a plastic box with a bit of toweling, which I spray with water when I put this away, so that it keeps the whole thing damp, moist, ready to go. So I'm quite happy with that. So you pay your money, take your choice. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.